Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody, or whenever you're watching this. Today is December 7th, 2021. This is the video version of the same thing that will be presented and shared and talked about in the middle school, high school library. If you're watching the video version for review, great. If you're watching the video version because you can't join us, hope to see you someday soon in person as well. Today, we'll be talking about formative assessments per our school-wide definition that was crafted a couple of years ago, but also an application to today's classrooms and to apply to our Atlas curriculum documentation as well. So let's get started. As always, context is king. So again, as I said at the beginning of the school year, when we talk about Atlas, if you ever do have any questions about why we do this, why we document our curriculum, please go to the Curriculum Office Google site. Please click on the Atlas purpose statement. We really want our curriculum to be documented so we can have something that we can guarantee. So it's the same learning experience for every family each school year. We also want it documented so we can actually support it, so it can be more viable. But if it's not documented, we have nothing to support. We also want to be a leading school, so our antecedents and our documents are correct, as opposed to just relying on the sheer luck of whoever's teaching the class at that time. And yes, we're lucky to have great teachers, but we want to have a good documented curriculum too. So that's why we do that. So if that's a question you have, check out that link right here, book an appointment with me, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Again, another contextual piece. This is per our strategic plan for Atlas completion. This is also found on the Curriculum Office Google site. You can click on it right here where it says Atlas Strategic Plan. As you can see on the screen, this is a several year plan going back to 2016. I always like to point out AISJ actually first purchased Atlas in 2013. I was brought on board to help finish the process, and we're almost there. And I do give the people here during this time frame credit for, in a way, being, to use a phrase, the greatest generation that gets it done, because you are doing the lion's share of the work and you deserve a pat on the back and credit for that. We will get it done. Now, quote unquote, done means, of course, it gets to the point of it's documented enough that a new teacher could use it. And it's documented enough that only additional reflections and tweaks are added. It's documented enough that by 2024, hopefully after that, we only change it because of the curriculum review cycle. And then it's a continuous process, but only because of the review cycle. I love this quote: continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to continuously improve. What are we doing this school year? You can see the column highlighted in black. This school year, we will be working on summative assessments per our definition. We'll be working on formative assessments per our definition. That's today. We're working on the practice agreements, which will be a long-term process. And we'll be working on differentiation and EdTech, SAMR, ISTE, and Atlas Rubicon as well. Okay, so exactly what are the expectations for this school year? Particularly today, we are talking about formative assessments. You can click on this link here on the Google site, Atlas Expectations 21-22. It will open up to a document that looks like this. There is a lot there. I encourage everyone to read it very carefully. Make sure you understand what is due. And obviously, I will be here booked for a Tuesday to describe each of these. Today, we're talking about the one highlighted in yellow here, formative assessments. So you can read this and understand what we're going to put into Atlas. I will explain in greater detail right now. Formative assessment: in every unit, we will upload or share drive link Now that is the school-owned shared drive, not you sharing something. It used to be called Team Drive on Google. If you're not sure you're in the shared drive or not, email me, I'll fix it for you or help you, okay? Upload or shared drive link, formative assessments. And again, I'll be going over this in details right now. But before we get into that, because we have to explain the definition for it, I just want to add this again, context is king, this contextual piece for understanding. It's hard to believe it was 2 years ago. 2 school years ago, we started this process. We met 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times and talked about our assessment definitions. We drafted, we got feedback, we revised, we drafted, we got feedback, revised again and again. And we finally got to the point where we had a school-wide definition published. But the thing was, that was during the first year of the pandemic. So by the end there, it was pretty touch and go. People were online, people were in quarantine. There was actually lockdown here in the kingdom for new teachers. You may not have known what it was like. And people did their best. I really appreciate everyone who participated. We started strong, but things kind of changed towards the end of the school year and didn't go as planned. But I'm so happy we're having the opportunity to pick things back up now. You may recall, if you were here during that time, that we liken the inquiry process of developing an assessment definition as similar to a road trip to grandma's house. You know your destination. You can only see as far ahead as the lights take you. You left the city, we headed out into the countryside, and we were going to get there. But again, the pandemic hit. I think it was in March, late March, that we went online. And really things changed. And you can see here at the pictures, by the end, people were in lockdown at home. And so really things changed, and it really didn't go as planned. I think in one of the clips, Sophia says, we're going to hit some road bumps or 2 on the way. Thanks for that. We sure did. And things didn't turn out as planned. But some volunteers helped, and we did continue with the process, and we did publish a result. It did take a while, but I really appreciate everyone's participation in the process to get to that assessment definition, because it is going to help shape how we move forward. Just wanted to share a couple examples here.
Learn a different way, and you could give a writing assessment to the student who's not a good writer or who has fine motor issues. It really depends on the best way that the students are able to demonstrate their understanding. If they sing it, if they rap it, if they draw it, if they skit it. I mean, it's the nature of what we do. We assess them, or we watch them, and then we get feedback, and then we tweak what we.
So an assessment is something that basically just tells the teacher and the community where the kids are standing. We basically think about what it is that we are trying to teach. So we try to reevaluate ourselves and see, is this the message we want to go across or not? Of course, it's a perfect process. There's never a perfect final solution. It's an ongoing process. So we want to make sure that we are assessing the students properly, and we are always finding out where the students stand. So whatever changes that need to be made, we can constantly adjust.
We believe an ideal assessment is one that every child would show growth, they would show knowledge, and also their motivation. We want them to feel confident, comfortable, and be ready to strive for more, always more. For
curriculum to be in place so that 6th, 7th, and 8th at high school, that there's assessments in place that we hold from the beginning of fall until spring. It's set to go, lesson plans are created, you're building upon the knowledge that you have in Atlas, as well as what didn't work and what worked for the last few years, and getting together as a team on a regular basis.
I would say we are probably more focused on the teacher side of things, and that we need to be looking more at student-centered assessment.
an ongoing conversation that really doesn't stop. Not so discrete, but more of a continuous assessment. Isn't one thing. Sometimes things click and we can assess really well. Sometimes we miss things and have to assess later. I like to have that conversation with students. I like conferencing.
It's an ongoing process. You need to be flexible, and then you have to do a variety of them, and it's just in the spirit of feedback.
Create a kind of positive communication between the teachers and the students. Concerning the students, they will understand the weak points and that needs improvement, and they will also understand their strengths.
I think it's going to be helpful once we narrow it down and figure out exactly what it says and what it means. Like Yvonne said, there was a lot of work that went into it and a lot of collaboration, and so it shows what the whole school and all the staff think. And I think once we know what summative assessments are and what they look like, and we have the common language to know, then we have a goal to work towards.
Okay.
Okay, that was just a trip down memory lane, but also I think it sets the stage well. It helps remind us that we are capable, we are an intelligent crew, we do have progressive ideas. And when we get to the point where we're looking at our assessment definition and we're putting it into practice, it's kind of this challenge for schools. We talk the big talk, but can we walk the walk? Can we put our money where our mouths are in terms of our progressive ideas and do a good job with our assessments? Or when it comes teaching time, do we just throw our hands up in the air and say, give them the dust? So I really like that as a reminder to me how incredible we are as a school, how good y'all are as a school. If we put our minds to it, we can talk about these things, we can progress, we can do better. And everybody's heart is in the right place. So I like that as a good contextual piece for our conversation. Yes, in the end, we did come up with an assessment definition. It was published in a PDF. But again, this was in the heart of the pandemic. And of course, people probably missed that email or that newsletter. I don't blame people. There were bigger things going on, bigger fish to fry at the time. But it was published that spring, 2 years ago. You can still find it on the Curriculum Office Google site right here at the bottom. It says click here for that final PDF. Okay, so if you open it up, what is that final assessment definition? It says, we believe assessment is a process for students, families, and teachers. We believe valid assessments match the learning targets. We believe equitable assessments are varied. Now here's the part about formative assessments. So this is what we'll talk about today. Another Tuesday, I'm booked, and we will talk about summative assessments. So for formative assessments, we believe formative assessments are for progress. We believe feedback is crucial to progress. Everyone, those meetings, you did a great job of drafting, getting feedback, redrafting, revising, and this is a fantastic definition for the school. Okay, so the next step, this is interesting. The next step is, how do we use that definition as a school? And also, I think it's important to consider, how do we use that definition similarly as a school, a whole district, but usefully per division. And I put these two things up on the screen because they help us have these conversations and help us make these decisions. The one up in purple here, he talks about boundary conditions. And I really think it's important for us whenever we have these conversations as a division. You're the middle school. what are the middle school's boundary conditions? Let's make decisions using the assessment definition that matches the middle school's boundary conditions, that helps the middle school students. Doesn't hurt them, it doesn't overcomplicate things. Speaking of which, the other thing I put up on the screen here is this whole definition game activity, which I really like in terms of understanding the difference between complex and complicated. Complicated means it's challenging. Complex actually means it's got a lot of parts, but it may not be challenging at all. And I think with this assessment definition, what we need to do is, yes, in some ways it could be complex, but let's not complicate it. I think the tyranny of complication is sometimes using fancy words and trying to make yourself sound smart and overcomplicating things. And I don't think we need to do that with our assessment definition. So what you're going to see for how we're going to use the formative assessment definition is going to match the boundary conditions of the middle school. But it's also not going to complicate things further. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, so here we go. We need to unpack it. We need to give it criteria. What are the key words? We believe equitable assessments are varied. To me, the key word here is varied, a variety, that there are different kinds of assessments. Easy to understand, easy to agree on. We believe formative assessments are for progress. The key word there is for progress, meaning our formative assessments are used to help the students do better. They're not just used for gotcha points, you failed. We would never want to do that. We believe feedback is crucial to progress. That means after we give formative assessments, that whole formative assessment experience concludes with getting feedback so the student can do better, so the student can progress. It's not just one message, you failed, one and done, that's it, it's over. No, the feedback is constructive so the student can continue and do better. So these are our definitions broken down into its most crucial parts. Yeah, it's simplistic, but it's the bedrock from which we can build. Here on the slides is a link to many more resources if you want to read more about formative assessments and feedback. One of them is a PDF that is a template for how to do feed forward, how to use your feedback in a feed forward process to help the students. I like that one a lot. But for today, these are our simple, uncomplicated definitions. Okay, so simply, what is due on Atlas? Okay, on that expectations doc, you'll see highlighted in yellow, it says your file uploads or shared drive links should use this file format for naming them. Easy to understand. The type of the assessment, followed by dash, followed by the week the assessment is given. That's about the week the assessment is given, followed by a dash, followed by the title of the assessment. Easy format to follow. Where will all of these assessments be uploaded or shared drive linked? In your Atlas, there's stage 3. And the first box of stage 3 is called Activities and Learning Strategies. At the bottom of that box, you can click, it'll look like this, and you can add the attachment or shared drive link. I think it's kind of neat to note that we're putting them here because we're making a distinction that formative assessments are for learning. They're a learning activity, they're a learning experience. formative assessments are not stage 2 summative cumulative evidence of learning. And that's an important distinction. And if you have great formal formative assessments and great informal formative assessments, they perfectly fit here in stage 3. Okay, so what is due on Atlas? For middle school, a minimum of 2 formal formative assessments must be uploaded here in stage 3. This is clean and easy for middle school because you put 2 in your grade book. So the 2 that you use for grade book, the ones that you use for in your grade book, those should be uploaded or shared drive link here. Use this title format. Formal, formative assessment, week XYZ, title, whatever unit it's for, or subject or topic is for. Okay. Also, for middle school, please upload 1 document, a minimum of 1 page long. That document will have 2 things on it, half and half. Half of it will be a description of all the other informal formatives that you give in the classroom. Informal formative assessments would be the ones that don't go in the grade book, that aren't graded. Maybe you have exit tickets. Maybe it's even just classroom strategies. There's no required format. Please describe in at least half a doc what are the other informal formative assessments that you use in the classroom to try and understand what the students are understanding. The other half of the document, please describe how you give feedback to the students. Now, here's kind of your challenge. How do you give feedback to the students so they can progress? Saying, I give feedback to my students by telling them, here's the result of your formative assessment, you got an F. Next topic, that's not feedback for progress. How do you give feedback to your students so they can progress and do better? Describe that on the second half. Again, that resources folder has that great feed forward template, but you reflect on it, you think about it, and describe what you do for that unit. Title this upload or shared drive link: Informal Formative Assessments and Feedback dash weeks, 5 through 12, dash fraction multiplication or whatever the topic is. That would be the title for that upload. So a minimum for every unit in Atlas, you need these 3 things with this file name format. That's what I'll be checking at checkout at the end of the school year. Pro tip, try one, get it all ready today. And then say, Paul, hi. I did one for unit 3. Can you check it out? Did I do it right? Do that. And then I can give you feedback. And then if you got a model in terms of this is how it's done correctly, then you can go to town and as you go process for the rest of your units. Any questions? Please ask. That's a golden rule. Instead of ruminating on it, just ask me. I love to help. I want to help. That's what I'm here for. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for today. And go for it. Start thinking about it and adding those things. Bye.